The 2025 Honda Civic C gets better with age. In the 11th generation Honda Civic, the C performance trim is just as good as it's always been. Alanis King. By Alanis King. The 2025 Honda Civic C is new, in the same way that the new year is new. With every flip of the calendar, we strive to make each year at least slightly better than the last. The 2025 Civic C, like the new year, is a minor evolution of what already exists. It's the car you've always known, but improved. That's what makes it great. The Honda Civic C has been around since 1986 and sits right below the top-end, 315 horsepower Type R performance model. The C looks and feels like a Civic in most respects, but unlike the pricier Type R, it gives enthusiasts a more practical performance option. For 2025, the Civic C starts at $31,045 with destination. The Civic nameplate is in its 11th generation, and just like last year, the 2025 Civic C has 200 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque from a turbocharged 1.5-liter four-cylinder engine. Also like last year, there's a standard helical limited-slip differential and a 6-speed manual transmission sending power to the front wheels. There's no automatic transmission available, and there are no foundation-shaking changes from the last car, just tweaks in the right direction. The most relevant updates include a revised rev match system to cover downshifts from second gear to first, along with a new 10.2-inch digital driver instrument cluster that adds shift indicator lights from the Type R. Parts of the suspension, subframe, and doors are more rigid than the outgoing C, with retuned suspension dampers to take advantage of increased body stiffness, Honda says. The Civic C comes in 4 colors for 2025: red, black, white, and gray, pictured and new for this year. The white and gray cost $455 extra, while the black and red are standard colors. Get the red. I've driven many iterations of the Civic C and Type R, and each time, the experience feels familiar yet novel. The novelty isn't in their evolution, because they don't change that much. It's the fact that each time I drive in C or Type R, I remember how practical and accessible some performance cars can be. The C is a blast to drive. It's quick but not earth-shatteringly fast, stiff enough to enjoy every corner, and comfortable enough to drive every day. The shifter has a light, buttery throw with a teeny thunk as it passes into each new gear. The steering feels weighted and responsive, gliding into each corner while not being overly twitchy for a daily driver. The C is almost as fun to drive in a city as it is on a twisty rural 2-lane, because the beauty of a hot hatch is that it's meant for every road. Flipping the car into sport mode and putting my foot to the floor in second gear makes me cackle every time. The limited slip differential puts the power down, and the C leaps forward. The new shift indicator lights adopted from the Type R, which light up yellow and red based on RPM to indicate when to upshift, makes slamming the car into gear feel like a movie getaway scene. The only thing missing is a physical handbrake. Instead, the C has a button. The C is also fun, or at least tolerable, for passengers. The pedals are so easy to work that, for someone who drives stick regularly, it feels almost impossible to kill. Even if you killed it, the C wouldn't lurch to a halt. It would just quietly die on you, waiting for you to press the start-stop button to try again. If you don't feel like rev matching on your own, using the C's perfectly smooth automated rev match system means your passengers don't have to endure a choppy jolt when you miss shift. The C has 3 driving modes: normal, sport, and individual. Their names and functions are straightforward, but there's a new feature in individual mode for 2025. If you want to turn off the enhanced engine noise in the cabin and listen to your little Turbo 4 scream without help, you can. A lot of car enthusiasts don't like when automakers pump enhanced or fake engine noise into the cabin, but I don't mind. It makes driving more immersive, like seeing a movie in IMAX versus watching it on your couch. As dead-quiet electric performance cars become the norm, we'll need more of it to feel that same immersion. Styling-wise, the C follows its usual blueprint. The exterior has slight tweaks to indicate that it's a sportier model, namely, the red C badges. The interior has 5 cloth seats, red fabric seats and C stitching up front pair to plain black rear seats. There's red trim on the dashboard and a herringbone pattern around the shifter and cup holders, and the car has red contrast stitching all over, including on the shift knob. The door cards are a mixture of hard black plastic and a red and black cloth pattern that matches the front seats. The interior of the C looks great, but I worry about how porous the materials are. There's loosely stitched cloth everywhere, which makes the car more prone to absorbing dust and dirt. My car, which had less than 500 miles on the odometer, already had a big dust spot on the center console cover. There are also piano black surfaces inside, which are grease and dust magnets as well. The Civic C's front seats are comfortable, but because they're flat-backed instead of having a headrest that pokes out a bit, I found myself leaning my head forward a lot. It wasn't as ergonomic as I wanted it to be. The back seat in the C is workable, even if it's not the most glamorous. I'm 5'8", and I had a few inches of legroom with the front seats slid back. But there are no air vents back there, and the backs of the front seats are thin cloth, meaning if anyone back there has a sharp object, they may poke a hole or two in them. The Honda Civic C isn't perfect, but as the cost of cars continues to rise, getting a new, manual-only performance hatch for just under $30,000 remains a great deal. If every new C aims to become a slight improvement upon its predecessor, this one is a success.